There is no denying that Bleach has a lot of memorable chapters, but amongst all of the countless chapters that Kubo Sensei has created, one specific chapter happens to catch my eye the most, and that is none other than Everything But the Rain. To be more specific, it isn't just one chapter, but rather an entire sequence of chapters with the same title. In total, there are 10 chapters, and in this video, I will be explaining why Everything But the Rain is the best chapter in Bleach. But before we get into it, we are first going to have to take a look at a different chapter. In chapter 397 of the Arrancar arc, Aizen states to Ichigo, and I quote, "I have known you from the moment you were born. You were born special because you are human," and he was about to complete his sentence, but unfortunately he was interrupted by none other than Isshin Kurosaki. I was fascinated with Aizen's statement. What exactly was he going to say? I can't explain how angry I was at Kubo for teasing us like this and not revealing the answer. Thankfully, I wasn't the only one who was feeling this way. Ichigo as well was curious. However, he came to the conclusion that Aizen was about to say human and Shinigami, and this was due to the fact that his dad appeared in front of him as a Soul Reaper. It makes sense, right? But I still wasn't convinced. I couldn't help but feel that there was something missing. Anyways, Isshin pulls Ichigo to the side, and this was actually Ichigo's first time seeing his dad as a Soul Reaper. We, the audience, already knew Isshin's secrets, so this didn't really blow our minds. But Ichigo, on the other hand, was in awe. It was obvious that he had many questions, so his dad suggested that he would explain everything later, and to my surprise, Ichigo agreed. Now, I want you to imagine how us readers felt. We were almost 400 chapters deep into Bleach, and we barely knew anything about Ichigo and the history of his family. The opportunity for this had presented itself. However, Ichigo showed little to no interest about it. Despite it being irritating, it was also commendable at the same time, because it was a testament to how Ichigo had developed as a character. Plus, it would have been kind of inappropriate to have a conversation like that in the midst of a battle. Anyways, the Arrancar arc would come to an end, and they still wouldn't have this conversation. After this, the Fullbring arc also started and concluded, and yet again, we still didn't get any answers. I was beginning to think that Kubo had forgotten all about it, but oh boy, was I wrong. Little did I know that all of my questions would be answered in the 1000-Year Blood War arc. After failing to complete Nimaya's training, Ichigo was sent back to the world of the living, and it wasn't necessarily Ichigo's fault. He was the first Soul Reaper to have a Zanpakuto without originally having an Asauchi. Therefore, he was an anomaly. To solve this problem, it was necessary for him to learn about his roots. Ladies and gentlemen, it was finally the right time for Isshin to tell Ichigo about his origin, and luckily for us, this meant that Isshin would complete Aizen's statement. Human and Quincy. He reveals that Ichigo's mother was a Quincy. In a little flashback, it was revealed that Isshin used to be the captain of the 10th Division, and Rangiku was his vice captain. In addition, Toshiro was the 3rd seat. Anyways, Toshiro hands him a report about a city called Naruki, and there, strange accidents such as Soul Reapers dying from unknown causes had been occurring. The case was still under investigation, and even though Isshin was not in charge of the operation, he takes it upon himself to investigate the city. And it is also worth mentioning that at that moment in time, Aizen, Gin, and Kaname were still conducting holification experiments. The next scene takes place at Karakura town, more specifically the Ishida residence, and there we are introduced to Masaki and Ryuken's mother. Ryuken's mother explains that all of Masaki's predecessors passed away, and because she had no siblings, she was the only living member of the Kurosaki family. Due to this, the Ishida family took her in because she was a fellow Quincy. I know what you're thinking. Oh my god, taking in an orphan girl. What a nice thing to do. Quincy's are awesome. Why did those bloodthirsty Soul Reapers decide to exterminate them? Well, sorry to rain over your parade, but this is far from the truth. The only reason why they adopted Masaki was because the Ishida family wanted to protect the purity of the Quincy blood in their family. Basically, because pure-blooded Quincy's were rare, the Ishida family didn't want their blood mixed in with the blood of the peasant half-breeds, and because of this, Masaki was destined to marry Ryuken. Anyways, Isshin arrives in Naruki, and there he faces off against a hollow, but this wasn't any regular hollow. It had two horns on top of its head. It was covered in black, and its hollow hole was covered in white. Wait, you know what? This hollow kind of reminds me of someone. I wonder who. Little did we know that Aizen and his squad were behind this. At the Ishida residence, Masaki senses the enormous spiritual pressure of the hollow and decides to confront it. Ryuken attempts to stop her, but he fails. In the next scene, Isshin is seen to be struggling against the hollow, and they eventually cross over to Karakura town. Isshin unleashes his Shikai, but before he is able to do any damage, he is attacked from behind by none other than Aizen Sosuke. It is then revealed that the hollow is called White, and also he was the first hollow ever to be created using a Soul Reaper's soul. Masaki arrives on the scene and lends Isshin a hand, and due to this, White diverts his attention towards Masaki, and surprisingly, she decides to willingly let him attack her. He bites into her shoulder, and after this, she grabs him and hits him with an arrow to the face. She manages to defeat White, and in the next moment, he self-destructs. But luckily for Masaki, Isshin was able to contain the explosion. And after this, Masaki reveals to Isshin that she is a Quincy, and to her surprise, he wasn't bothered by it in the slightest. Masaki was overcome with joy, and she also hoped that all Soul Reapers were like him. Well, she's lucky she never met Yamamoto and Mayuri. Anyways, they both go their separate ways. Isshin returns to the Soul Society and gives a report about his mission. And despite Soul Reapers and Quincy's being mortal enemies, Isshin does not reveal Masaki's secrets. And Masaki also returns to her normal life. A couple of days pass by since this incident occurred, and everything appeared to be going smoothly until Ryuken's mom reveals that she had been informed about Masaki's battle with the Hollow. Ryuken immediately realizes that the rat is none other than Katagiri, Uryu's mother. Ryuken confronts her, and she explains that the only reason why she exposed the truth was because when Masaki was attacked by White, she sustained a life-threatening wound, and if she didn't receive proper treatment, her blood would become tainted. Therefore, she wouldn't be able to marry Ryuken, and this was a major problem because it meant that there would be no longer a future for the Quincy's. In the next moment, Masaki faints to the ground, and a hollow hole forms in her chest. Ryuken immediately grabs her and storms out of the Ishida residence, but before he is able to find her any help, he is attacked by a hollow, but luckily for him, Isshin was around the neighborhood and he saves both of their lives. After this, Isshin instantly recognizes Masaki, and Ryukin explains to him that because she saved him, her life is in danger, and suddenly, out of nowhere, Kisuke Urahara appears. In the next scene, they are seen to be in Urahara's shop, and there he explains that Masaki's condition is called holification, and that he had been researching it for more than 100 years. And this is an obvious callback to the turn back the pendulum arc. Kisuke explains that when the symptoms of holification advances, it leads to the self-destruction of one's soul, and this is called soul suicide. It is revealed that in the past, Kisuke created a vaccine from a Quincy's arrow of light and a human soul and injected it into the visors, and this prevented soul suicide. He explains that he could prevent Masaki from going through soul suicide, but unfortunately, he couldn't bring her back to what she was. If he was going to save her life, prevent her from holifying, and also keeping her human, then he would need a stronger opposing power. And as we all know, Soul Reapers are the opposite of Quincy's. Isshin was the only one who could save her. Kisuke explains that he has invented a special Gigai created from a human soul, and if a Shinigami were to enter this Gigai, they would lose all of their spiritual powers and become a hybrid of Soul Reaper and human. Basically, this means that if Isshin was to go along with this, he would lose all of his Soul Reaper powers. He wouldn't be able to sense or see hollows. Kisuke further on explains that for this method to work, Masaki's soul and the hollow within her must be tied together with a powerful string made out of reishi. While the string is tied, Isshin would not be able to exit the Gigai until it was obviously untied. To Kisuke's surprise, before he was even able to finish his sentence, Isshin agrees to do it. He explains that he wouldn't be able to live with himself if he allowed the person who saved his life to die. They go through with the experiment and it was a success. Both their souls were successfully tied together and Masaki's life was saved. After this, because Masaki's soul was mixed with a hollow, she would go on to leave the Ishida family and Isshin would open up a clinic, and obviously you know the rest. They got married, had 3 kids, and they lived happily ever after. Thanks for watching. Hold on, wait. I think something's missing. Oh right, my bad. I forgot to mention the bit where Masaki dies.
You need to leave!
See, originally we were led to believe that she died by the hand of a hollow called Grand Fisher, and as we all know, Isshin got his revenge. But see, there's more to the story. Yes, Grand Fisher killed Masaki, but it was because of Yuha. See, on the 17th of June, Yuha activated the Ash Wallen to regain his strength, and in the process, he stole the powers of the mixed-blooded Quincy's because he considered them unclean, and this was how Uryu's mother, Katagiri, and Masaki died. Under any normal circumstance, Masaki would obviously be the winner. But sadly, without her powers, Masaki stood no chance against Grand Fisher, and after learning about his origin, Ichigo returns back to Hoden and completes Nimae's training with ease. The reason I believe that this is the most important chapter in Bleach is because the secrets revealed in this chapter allowed Ichigo to finally gain some closure. For many years, he was led to believe that he was the cause of his mother's death, He thought that he stripped his family of their happiness, especially his little sisters. This got so bad to the point where he would fall into depression if he was unable to save someone. He always had this lingering thought at the back of his mind that he was a weakling, and this was why he was so desperate to obtain strength to protect his loved ones. And even after his wish was fulfilled, the power he obtained was never enough to satisfy him. No matter how powerful he got, there would always be an obstacle preventing him from saving his friends, and this would unfortunately remind him of his mother's death. The psychological damage he endured as a child witnessing his mother die was beyond unimaginable. But after finally learning about the truth, that weight was lifted off his shoulders, and he finally gains the resolve to face his problems head on. This chapter is perfection because it neatly explains everything. There is no space for any plot points. It's almost as if all of the consecutive chapters had been leading to this moment. The reason for Ichigo's immense strength and all of his powers were explained. This means that all of the people that claim that every single one of Ichigo's powers are assholes can finally shut up! He is a Shinigami because his dad is a Shinigami. He is a Quincy because his mom was a Quincy. And most importantly, he has hollow powers because he has a hollow within him. And on top of all of that, we even get some fan service. I mean, what more could you ask for? To put it simply, in the Everything But the Rain arc, everything just falls into place perfectly. Thank you for watching the video, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. And I know that I am not the only one who loves this chapter, so feel free to let me know down in the comment section what you guys like most about this chapter.